Now, Nigeria has the largest market in Africa with a population of over 200 million people. However, the economy is heavily dependent on oil. If the recently launched Export Expansion Facility program of the federal government is anything to run with, then it's expected to impact positively on the country's export market. According to the federal government, it's a part of the Economic Sustainability Plan, whose development and implementation is being led by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. With regards to the export program of the government, we take a look at Nigeria's export sector and what can be done to boost the country's export market. Joining me to discuss this further is Pascal Insoromotu. He is a financial consultant. Thank you so much for being a part of the show
God
this
bless
morning.
you. Thank you for having me.
Now, a new research by Standard Chartered Bank has projected that Nigeria's export trade would hit $112 billion in 2030, topping the volume for Africa, adding that the global export trade would grow from $17.4 trillion to $29.7 trillion between 2021 and 2030. Is this good news first, and how feasible is it?
Well, it's a good news. Yeah, it's a good news. But on the other hand, we had hit that figure before.
Really?
Yes, in 2011 and 2012. Nigeria hit well above 112 billion. Before we started nosediving. In fact, the recent one, the last one as of 2020, was about 38 billion, which is a far cry from what it was in 2011. I think the reason for that is not far-fetched, probably because of the COVID-19. We didn't have
But
much
2011 to 2021, that's a long time.
A long time, yes. You see, 2011 to 2012 was a big reason. When we talk about hitting 112 billion, we are saying $112 billion in exports, including oil and non-oil exports,
the other
put together. But I just mentioned here that we hit that figure in 2011 and equally hit the figure in 2012. However, we need to really look inwards and know what made us to hit that and why we are where we are today.
Exactly,
yes,
which
definitely.
is why I would like to know what were the indices or the factors that helped us to hit that figure in 2011.
Yeah, in that 2011, the exchange rate was not very bad. And then people were encouraged to do a lot of things. In the manufacturing sector, people were encouraged to manufacture. And the crude oil, the number of barrels per day, we had enough to produce in 2011 and 12. However, when the insurgency came up and we started having to battle insecurity everywhere, a lot of the oil companies had to quit Nigeria, and then the production barrels we had in a year dwindled, it came down. So the exports now dropped. The volume of exports we started envisaging afterwards dropped. So what will save the situation now, like we are trying to put together, is number one, for Nigeria to bounce back to that secured environment, to have people do what they are supposed to do.
Deal with insecurity.
Yes, insecurity first, because if their projection is anything to go by, it means that Nigeria would have dealt with insecurity by 2030. That's what it means. But the way it's rising every day, you cannot, people that produce cashew nuts, for example, people that produce ginger, they cannot go to the farm
to
produce
these things. Which are export products.
They're export products. They cannot go to the farms to produce these things, because when they go there, they kidnap them, they kill them, they rape them. So you can, the projection is just on the paper. We need to do some things. We need to put the security situation in place, arrest those ills in the security situation, so that we'll be able to hit that figure that we are talking about.
So are you optimistic about it?
Well, like I said yes and no, because number one, I believe Nigeria will get back to that level where we have security, yes, a serene environment for production and manufacturing. But if we don't do that, this figure is not true. We cannot go with it.
Now, at a 9.7% yearly growth rate, the report sees Nigeria's export volume peaking at $112 billion by 2030. Let's look at the drivers of this growth.
Yes. The major drivers, we have the oil and non-oil. In fact, I'm much interested in the non-oil because that's where we can encourage the people, even the local people, to even get interested in exports. We have the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector is, apart from oil, the next place we get enough exports is the agricultural sector. When you get these products, you can package them for exports and people can buy. Okay. Now, but if we don't encourage the agricultural sector, we will not be able to get those crops that we need to really export. We export ginger, we export cocoa, all of them put together. We export them, groundnuts. You see, most of our state governors are interested in what is coming from the oil, not knowing that what will make them what they should be, the IGR that they should generate is what God has given to them in their land. You see, an average Adamawa man should be able to produce enough rice, enough ginger that we can send. And other parts of Nigeria, all other governors should equally drive the IGR.
That issue of Nigeria focusing so much on crude oil. Nigeria's biggest export is crude oil, and it represents 3/4, that's 75.4% of its total exported goods by value. And as at Monday, November 29, Brent crude was trading at $76.29 per barrel. Are we looking at spreading the export net? You've been talking about going into agriculture, ensuring that we encourage farmers and dealing with insecurity. Are we really serious about putting attention on the agricultural sector? Well,
that's the one question the government will have to answer. Remember what happened to us in this oil sector? Sometime in 2019, 2020, the oil prices dropped globally. Because at that time, Nigeria had nothing again to run to. Because at that time, we were not having enough foreign exchange. So everybody was now campaigning for what to do. But if the agricultural sector, the manufacturing sector had been strengthened before then, we wouldn't be talking much about oil.
And the federal government should have latched on that drop to build the
other sectors, to build the agricultural sector, to build the manufacturing sector. So what we are saying is that we need to encourage the local manufacturers. The people that are into agriculture, we need to really strengthen them so that our whole dependence will not be on this oil. That's the take.
The report also stated that Nigeria's future growth would be driven by its current and future investment in its digital and physical infrastructure and improvements in its business environment. Help us better understand this. Are we looking at a better or an improved business environment?
What that is saying is to just digitization of our activities. One thing is the bottleneck that has been created in the customs and other things. By the time we digitalize all these processes, we won't have all those bottlenecks anymore. Exports will now be very easy for people to do. What you just need to do to export anything, you just go online, to type in one thing you want to do, fill your form online, everything is approved, and within a twinkle of an eye, you have done what you need to do, and you have sent
that sounds very far-reaching.
Yeah, no, it's not far-reaching.
Are we working towards that?
Yes, and I believe because with the automated system of customs data, we will be able to get to that extent. Now, it's that's what is done all over the world.
But in Nigeria,
an exception.
Yes, I'm saying in Nigeria, are we working towards that?
Yes, the customs, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, they are working towards digitizing everywhere, whatever we need to do in that process. But by and large, if you put the computers there and you want to do we want people to apply for one thing or the other, there must be something they have. That's why I said we need to look inwards first. If I should have granite or I should have cassava, to be able to apply to export that cassava. You cannot put that fintech, you cannot put that technology in place, and people are not having what they're supposed to export. It's just going to be useless. You understand? So what we're saying, it's practiced all over the world. Even International Chamber of Commerce is always saying that people should put in place the necessary technologies that will remove all these bottlenecks in terms of exports and imports. So what we are trying to do is to say is that while we are putting that technology in place, that the problems we have locally must be solved.
So what do these figures mean for the Nigerian economy? The report is projecting that the global export trade would grow from $17.4 trillion to $29.7 trillion between 2021 and 2030.
Yes, it's a huge sum. All over the world, that this is what we are going to, what we are envisaging will happen in the next 10 years. But the thing is, what is our own, what do we stand to gain from that? Nigeria, what percentage of the share are we going to have? This particular global figure that is whooping, that is very big, what is our own share of the whole market? That's what this whole thing is saying. Now the projection is fine, and people are saying that we are going to get about 112 billion in exports. Yes, very good. If it happens, it means Nigeria is going to be a heaven for all of us. But we are saying that if the inimical problems are not solved, we are not heading nowhere. So the most important thing is for us to look inwards and solve those problems that we need to solve. Encourage the farmers, encourage the manufacturing sector, strengthen the manufacturing sector, and at the same time tackle insecurity. These are the major things we need to do to fly to this figure that we're talking about.
And apparently the biggest giant in the room is the insecurity issue.
That is the major problem. Because people, like in my own state now, you cannot just go in, do your farm work and come back. So because of that, a lot of people have abandoned agriculture. We may not know that now. Later we are going to find out that agriculture has really dwindled in Nigeria because of insecurity.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much, Pascal Soromotu, for your thoughts on the show this morning.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.